All right, thanks, Tony. As I mentioned at the top of the half hour, we're going to talk about baldness, but not baldness as you normally think of it as a man's problem. It is a troubling issue that many of us face as we age, but for 30 million Americans, hair loss more problematic because they're women. In fact, it's one of the most widespread yet ignored problems that affect women in this country. ABC's medical correspondent, Dr. Nancy Snyderman, has the story.
We'd like you to meet one of America's most beautiful women, Aline Surianello. Beautiful because she has the courage to talk about a condition that most women won't even talk to their doctors about. But hidden beneath this beautiful head of hair is the Aline no one sees.
How do I go function in the world knowing that everybody's paying attention to this? Now, they're not going to say anything to me because this is not a conversation, but they're going to ignore me. I become a non-entity. I become not a person that makes a statement, and I don't want to live my life that way.
Aline has a condition called alopecia, commonly known as hair loss. She's had it since she was 14 years old, and she is just one of the 30 million American women who have learned to live with a condition we think only affects men.
Very few men are shocked that they are losing their hair. With women, there's a complete shock and disbelief. How can I be losing my hair? Because they don't expect to lose their hair.
Aline agreed to walk outside without her hairpiece, which she rarely does, to give us an idea of what it's like for a woman losing her hair to carry on normally.
You're shocked, right? Did you see our UPS guy? He just was flipped. Right? To be like this all the time and think that this is how you have to be all the time, every day a little part of you dies. And that's what the sad part is.
Believe it or not, Dr. Angela Cristiano also has alopecia, a different kind that's in remission. Her type of alopecia causes her hair to fall out unpredictably, sometimes in chunks. Right now, thanks to steroid injections into her scalp, her hair is staying in.
I think for many people who are affected by alopecia, they come to realize over time that it is a gift. It's humbling when you wake up in the morning and you look at your hair and you say, thank God for another day.
Ironically, Angela and her research team at Columbia University located a gene for alopecia in 1998.
What our discovery really does is open a whole new way of looking at hair follicle biology, and we believe, as do others, that by understanding the genes that control hair growth, we'll eventually introduce better targets for drugs and therapy for all forms of baldness in the future.
While it's normal to lose about 125 hairs a day, it's important for you to know what's normal and what's not. Hormone fluctuations like pregnancy and menopause can trigger hair loss, and in those cases your hair will grow back in about 4 to 6 months. But other things, stress, high fever, even yo-yo dieting can cause your hair to fall out. So if you notice any changes in the texture of your hair, or if you're starting to lose more than normal, catch it early and talk to your doctor.
In 1991, Rogaine became the only FDA-approved treatment for some types of women's hair loss, though it doesn't work in all cases, which leaves women with few options other than hair transplants and steroid injections.
Female alopecia is one of the most understudied areas really in all of dermatology, if not in all of medicine.
As for Aline, opportunity found her where she least expected it, in the hair business. She is the owner of one of the few salons in America that caters just to balding women. She and her team produce custom-made hair pieces using real hair. And Aline knows firsthand the difference that a full head of hair can make.
This is who I am. I just rent the other lady. I like her personality, but I don't like her hair. So I took her personality and I took this hair, and I'm now one.
And joining us now from San Francisco, our medical correspondent, Dr. Nancy Snyderman. Nancy, this alopecia problem, you mentioned Rogaine, but there are other products on the market for men's baldness. Can they be used by women? I'm thinking of Propecia primarily.
Yeah, Propecia is very common, but it's not recommended for women. All the women take it because of the problem with birth defects. And there are some areas that people are looking at. Interestingly, things like saw palmetto, excuse me, which is an herbal medication, which has been used primarily for men with prostate problems, but saw palmetto may help, even green tea. But right now, if you don't get steroid injections and you don't get hair transplants, you're really looking at things by mouth or things you can put on your head, and there's no perfect answer for anyone.
So Rogaine is still the best. I mean, it's not effective in all cases, but I understand over 50%, right?
It works for more than 50% of women, but here's the only problem. It's not hair like you and I think of. It's more peach fuzzy, it's finer. So for women, it's sort of a stopgap measure, but it's never going to restore the hair that Mother Nature gave us.
All right, and stay away from the propecia because there's birth defect problems.
I think that's a good piece of warning for most women.
Right. Yeah. Males get their baldness from their mothers, right? Inherited from their mothers?
Yeah, this is something I must tell you I learned, Charlie. I thought we all got baldness problems from inherited through maternal genes. But interestingly, women seem to get it from their dads, boys from their moms, and the patterns are very different. Men usually get the typical male pattern baldness with balding in the front and then over the crown of the head. Women seem to get it really over the top, right here where you saw the woman in our story. Right. So it's slightly different. And I think a lot more shocking for women, especially when we're talking about women in late teens, 20s, even 30s suddenly getting it.
All right, Nancy Snyder, as always, thanks very much.
You bet, Charlie.
Good to see you. We take a commercial break. When we come back, the big game and the big winners. $181 million this family won. Woo-hoo. Good Morning America continues.